Vocabio. Master English your way.
Rewarded for thinness and stigmatized for fatness. And all I'm saying is we should reckon with this.
Our Latinx culture, right? Yeah. It's counseling is stigmatized. Many families are brought up to not.
Over time, we have created a culture of stigmatizing rather than supporting people in need. A culture of
but it got to be stigmatized because it was brick and high rise and then ultimately poorly.
Misconceptions about sensitive people, often stigmatized as weak and over emotional. In reality, they are
over waffles, perfectly poached eggs, and mimosas. I'm in.
There's a family of whiskies, and one of them I saw was the poutine. So I actually went to the launch of this, and it was
Sebastian Cabot. They essentially poached him from Spain. He'd been working in Spain for many
as well as horrific poaching has plummeted their numbers by 90.
In some sense, trying to humanize technology and to move beyond, let's say,
to humanize, and not humanize is the inaccurate term, but
it just humanized the whole thing. It was Indianapolis' second.
Sounds interesting. To revive and humanize the digital sphere. In the bar is your alternative.
Doing, and it humanizes us, but it also, I think, gives permission.
The situation, or leadership will reevaluate the situation in October, but currently
through to being evaluated or reevaluated by the FDA very soon.
You're really giving people an opportunity to perhaps reevaluate their own versions of what they might feel are
of delays. After certainly a great deal of soul searching, it looks like we're
some kind of mechanism of reevaluating the actual impact rather than.
We did not, by the way, corroborate our projects. What we're going.
And the testimony in that case corroborates very well with the photograph.
Important feat that largely corroborates previous attempts to create chronologies through morphological seriation.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. To corroborate, to triangulate. There's a series of...
supposed to entrain your brain. Haven't seen a lot of corroborating research to actually support all of those truth claims.
To where our family first started distilling, which was in the city of Dublin. And these are the other players. So Pernod Ricard.
Vodka case that is distilled and a little bit bracing.
And distilled white vinegar. I don't use fancy vinegars because fancy vinegar...
Too many words for a t-shirt. So we kind of distilled it into the 3 words. And 2 days later...
Then they get organized, then they get distilled, and then the last step, the E, is express.
And just before COVID, they initiated a process in which people were looking at the conditions in nursing. Hydrogen burn-off igniters initiated.
The first step was an unmanned orbit of the moon in
a dialogue between science and religion initiated by the Dalai Lama. Professor Presti's
10 years ago when you and others initiated this movement was very...
A series of commissioned photographic portraits initiated by David Lascelles and
right, generations of damage, redlining, urban renewal, urban highway.
So if black people were thrown into redlined areas which couldn't get bank loans, then that means the property is now lost.
And redlining. Restricted covenants were legal maneuver.
Common that scam is, and it is one that's based in redlining practices and white supremacy culture.
Standing with the other astronauts, except that he then overplayed his hand, and the next morning he summoned them all to
They've overplayed their hand.
Oh, enormously. Secondly, do you really think Hezbollah are going to burn?
Sometimes if you put too much in, you can overpower it, so just be careful with it. Same thing with the Chipotle.
Filtering, you're just overpowering it. And as a matter of fact, what they had asked for...
To overpower the feminine form by eroding the ground and transcending temporal boundary.
Make everything pop, but it doesn't overpower the flavor. Mm-hmm. So I suggest using nutritional yeast whether you're vegan.
Smaller, easier to overpower, easier to manipulate than adults. That makes...
Apartment, levitating,
He was so happy. So I want you to think back for
how a particle itself can be levitated and controlled, and how that control
long that an asset can levitate in midair, suspended by nothing but common expectation.
I was like 3 inches off. It felt like I was like levitating, like hovering, because like the noise.
I want to levitate a little bit during the sexual experience. I want
to, they were able to return to Houston to help troubleshoot some of the issues that we had between those 2 launch attempts.
Hopefully troubleshoot. The other person to hit up here would be
connected with one another to be able to troubleshoot, talk through the problems. We now are bringing cell phones connected with one another to be able to troubleshoot, talk through the problems. We now are bringing cell phone
ability for GCP, designed to monitor, log, troubleshoot, and improve cloud infrastructure, software and application.
That it was kind of emanating from inside the balloon animal, again, to pursue this idea of a character.
Trunk and a foul odor emanating from it. They popped the trunk and they found,
as we call them, are these features that we see emanating out of the sides of crater walls, steep slopes, and
air, all emanating from that very large plant at the top of the building.
To be sung from the locker room, like gold light to be emanating from the locker room doors. I mean, I was fully expecting
to be sanitized and abstract. They wanted to be truthful about things
we could ever say was sanitized or debrutalized in any way.
Questionnaire next to this hand sanitizing reminder made individuals report being more politically conservative.
To sanitize ourselves and make ourselves palatable to a
heterosanitarium. He made that name up. Sanitas from health, Latin for health, and it was his universe.
And just like completely obliterated that community. And this is what it looks like today.
Was that it obliterated a whole group. And what we had thought...
City after city was obliterated, destroyed. Hospitals were bombed, schools were bombed.
Power over principle, aid budgets obliterated, science under attack.
Have been eroded, if not obliterated. So spit in a tube and blow up your life.
From her neighbors. And so they'd confiscate the cookies, and then they'd write her up.
As evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June.
Americans would say that we should neither confiscate everyone's guns, but nor should it be easy to walk.
Brought over. Their passports were confiscated. Some of the men were beaten and held at gunpoint.
Government, because that government, the Chinese government, can just confiscate that equipment and start using that to...
In this etching, where an enslaved woman and a white child are depicted.
And, that day is really etched on my heart, mind, and soul.
Another one of those images etched in my mind forever, like I said.
Nadia, this is Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast. Nadia lives behind the Iron Curtain, Bethany.
There's a triangle in etched glass and with a plan of the U.S. Embassy and
introversion, which conceals the relationship of each side of the interior space.
Made by the Nobel Committee conceals that behind this elegant picture, the decay curve.
The original projecting bay at the front of the house is concealed by a first-story addition pierced at the front and sides.
All of this was new to me. Sarah went to great lengths to conceal much of the workings of the world from me.
That nobody's paying you for when you're concealing or hiding something about yourself. And so it actually takes a lot of...
Maduro really demolished Venezuela. And
of the site, and if we demolished anything, it would not be allowed to be rebuilt. So we were stuck with this monster.
Through an effort of intellectual will, may be demolished by a similar effort of imaginative determination.
But it's an achievement that's been demolished and pulled apart.
Along with now demolished Hunt Hall, architectural sciences in his graduate training were centered. Transcribing the teeming, heaving cities now proclaim the no trespass sign.
With streets and sidewalks no longer teeming with a crush of humanity. And often,
what would these places have looked like? How the places teeming with population and so forth. We have
forgot
Fermented foods are teeming with helpful probiotic bacteria, like lacto.
The natural world is teeming with the universe's projects. Stars and planets, mountains and...
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.